Four college buddies embark on a road trip to retrieve an illicit tape mistakenly mailed to a female girlfriend. Female friend.
Yeah. This is Ryan.
And this is Ashley.
And this is
Ruining Our Childhood,
a nostalgic weekly podcast where a married couple rewatches and reviews our favorite 90s and 2000s movies to decide if they hold up to our adult standards.
Yes, and welcome to another amazing episode. It's been a week,
Yeah.
I think.
A big week for the podcast.
Has it?
Well, somebody opened a store.
Us?
Yes. We
Yeah,
have a
we
store.
have a merch store, guys. You can buy t-shirts, stickers,
Magnets,
t-shirts, stickers.
sweaters.
There are some sweaters. I do
Yeah.
want to get a crew neck sweater.
Yeah. But there's
And-
some cool logos that we designed. We made them.
Yeah, and I think you could buy some notebooks.
Nice.
The website allows for you to pretty much put your design on anything, but I just wanted to keep it small.
Yeah.
There might be some pins, but and magnets.
Yeah. We don't think there's a market for a Ruining Our Childhood quilt.
Yes, a tapestry.
Yeah.
There was an option.
But who really needs one?
I don't.
I mean,
nobody's
we
gonna pay
don't need
$80.
We don't need it,
Right.
let alone our listeners.
Right. T-shirts, stickers.
Yeah.
It's understandable, and you guys should check it out because it's awesome.
Yeah.
We have 5 designs and possibly more, depending on if anybody actually buys things.
Yeah. We made some cool ones, though. There's a trip down memory road.
Yes.
A well hello there.
Yes, there's a well hello there, and it has a...
As a cameo.
Yeah.
Which I think is the most ingenious idea you've ever come up with. When you're like,
When I showed it to you, you're like, I don't get it.
yeah. I was like, well, that's a cool silhouette. And you're like, it's a cameo. And I was like, what?
And our well hello there category is about cameos.
Yeah. Blew my mind.
Yeah. So, yeah, you guys should check out that store. There's a link to it. If you go to ruiningourchildhood.com, it's just on the homepage. There's a link to it. And
If you joined the Runers Club, you got an email with it.
yeah.
Boom. That was easy.
Yeah. And also, don't forget to join the Runers Club by August 1st if you haven't already, because we are giving away a free t-shirt. And who doesn't want free stuff?
And it's a t-shirt you cannot buy on our site yet.
That's true.
So if
It's
you
a-
win that, it's a collector's item.
It's a limited edition. We don't even have
Yeah.
that t-shirt. It's a special one-of-a-kind t-shirt,
It's pretty awesome.
right?
Yeah.
I agree. So join the Ruiners Club by going to ruiningourchildhood.com, hitting join our fan club. It's free, it's easy, and if you do it, you can enter to win a t-shirt.
And you now get 3 bonusodes up there.
Yeah. And we're having, we just had a little team meeting. I say that like we have such a big team. It's me, you, and Rupert.
That is correct.
And we talked about doing some different minisodes that we will let you know about later. So you might be getting more than one a month.
Yes. But we don't want to give too much away.
Right. Right.
Information forthcoming.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll make an announcement eventually.
Yeah.
This week, we're doing the 2000 classic Road Trip. And it's a movie that won our latest poll, and Ryan is fist bumping. Pumping? I said bumping.
I think pumping.
Pumping. He's
Yeah.
doing something. He's excited. He
Yes.
won again.
He won.
The people like you for some
3 of
reason.
4 I've won.
Yeah. It's not a competition, Ryan.
But, I mean, 3 of 4 is good. 75%.
That's true.
That's a C average.
Okay.
That'll get you through school.
Did you say you had 3 out of 4?
3 out of 4.
3 out of 4 what?
3 out of the 4 last... 3
Oh,
wins
okay.
out of the last 4 polls.
I thought you were trying to say 3 out of 4 total. I'm like, we've been doing the polls for like 2.5 months, right?
We don't talk about those ones. That's in the past.
Okay. We have a strict no talking about the past, even though this podcast is a nostalgic podcast where we talk about the past.
Stop using logic.
Anyway, yes, road trip.
Yes.
Why don't you take us down memory road and tell us about some 2000 facts?
And while I do that, head over to the website, buy the shirt.
Right?
This movie was released on May 19th of 2000. It had a budget of $16 million, and it grossed $120 million, so it was very successful. It did produce one sequel, which came out in August of 2009. It was called Beer Pong.
Oh, I remember seeing it.
Yeah, and it didn't have really anybody from this.
No.
Yeah.
Was it like a prequel? I bet
don't-
you if I looked it up, it was a prequel.
It's not a prequel.
Oh.
It had a couple cast members in it, but not
like
the
the
full
main
cast.
cast.
Yeah. It was kind of reminds you of one of the American Pie band camp movies.
Right.
Popular TV shows from 2000 were Survivor, ER, and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. The number one song the week the movie came out was Santana, featuring the Product G and B, Maria Maria. A couple other popular songs were Destiny's Child, Say My Name, and Savage Garden, I Knew I Love You.
Yes. Savage Garden.
And some popular movies from 2000 were How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Castaway, and Mission Impossible 2.
Awesome.
Good year for cinema.
You
I say it
that
every year.
You say that every time.
But here, think of this though. In 10 years, movies from 2020 will be eligible for our podcast. And when we do a movie from 2020, at no point are we going to go, 2020 was a good year for cinema.
No. We can't blame the cinema for the year.
I'm just thinking
Nothing's coming out.
nothing's coming out.
Or they're making the tough decision of just putting it straight on demand
Yeah,
and trying to charge $20 for it.
exactly.
Which I guess works out to how much we would pay if we went to the movies anyway.
And we can watch it in the comfort of our own home.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I can't get that popcorn smell,
I mean, you could. You could just make some popcorn in your kitchen.
I guess. So, yeah, road trip 2000. I was
Yes.
14 years old. May. I was in 8th grade.
I had just finished my freshman year.
Yeah.
Like, probably that week.
Oh, I was still in school because my school didn't end till June. Like a normal schedule.
I was going to say, I was always jealous of, like, East Coast schools where they go back to school after
Labor Day usually.
Labor Day, yeah. And out here,
It's like July? Sure.
it's late July now.
Yeah.
Late July.
But you do get out earlier?
And they also do, like, fall break, which is something we never had,
No.
and 2 weeks in the spring.
Yeah. I feel like kids get way more breaks.
Yeah, they
But
do.
I digress. Back to road trip. What are your earliest memories of this film?
I remember seeing it in theaters. My two older brothers took me to go see it, I want to say, on Memorial Day. I remember being very excited for this movie because it had Sean William Scott and Tom Green.
Right.
And obviously, Sean William Scott was probably my favorite part about American Pie at the time. And then Tom Green was pretty big.
He was huge
Yeah.
at this time.
I mean, he literally took a song, the Bum Bum song, was it? Or the Bum song?
It might have been the Bum Bum song.
Yeah. And just had him talking about putting his bum on things, and it went to like #1 on TRL. Yeah.
It did. What a time to be alive.
I was going to say, it was 20 years ago.
Yeah. And then he had a show at the time, right?
Yep.
And did they get married, Drew Barrymore and him?
Yes.
Yeah, so he was living life at this time.
Also had cancer at this time, too. So,
Oh,
yeah.
well, way to bring it down, Ryan. He's fine, guys.
He is. He's still alive.
That's cool. I didn't see this in theaters.
He did not.
No, I was 14.
Oh, I didn't know.
It's not an appropriate movie for a 14-year-old. So my parents let me rent it like a normal parent would.
I'm just thinking, I was not 17.
Right.
My brothers took me. There's plenty of movies that I had no business seeing in theaters. My mom, for one, took me to a movie I had no business seeing.
Yeah, that's true. I don't remember, like, my brother taking me to the movies or anything like that for this film. I don't know. Maybe he did. I just don't remember. I remember renting it and possibly renting it with my friends for a slumber party. I feel like that sounds correct. And thinking it was really hilarious because it did have Tom Green, like you said, and Sean William Scott, who I was in love with at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, because Stifler was such a horrible character, as we addressed in the very first episode of this podcast. But Sean William Scott is good looking, so,
Yeah.
you know,
I'm just thinking if you rented it, you probably rented it on VHS.
probably.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember when we bought a DVD player, because my dad was up on the latest tech at the time.
He's always been very tech-oriented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gotten a little worse in his older age, but I definitely think he knows his way around stuff a little better than some other people his age, I guess.
This is how well your dad is with tech, is I remember when Kindle Fires came out, and he bought your mom one for Christmas, like the year they came out, and your mom had to explain to me what a Kindle Fire was, because I had no idea. I knew what a Kindle was.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's color? And you can do all this stuff on it?
Yeah. Silly.
I know.
So, yeah, I mean, I remember seeing this movie multiple times just because I was thinking about it today and remembering like a majority of the plot.
Yeah.
So if we want to segue into if we think it's going to hold up, I'm going to say that's a no for me.
You're going to say no?
No.
Okay. I'm going the opposite. I'm going to say it is going to hold up.
Okay, Ryan.
I think there will be offensive jokes and some dated references, but I think it's going to be funny enough that it will offset that.
I definitely think, though, will still be moments where I do find things funny, but I do think there's going to be a lot of questionable things.
I'm also going from the standpoint of, and you kind of just mentioned it, was that you watched this movie a lot. I think it was the first DVD I bought. And I know I said on the American Pie episode, once I saw the movie, I watched it like once a week that whole summer. I feel like this was a movie that I probably did something similar. It was, I didn't have a lot of DVDs, and I had just gotten a computer that had a DVD player on it, so this was fancy. So I probably watched it a lot.
Yeah.
So I think the nostalgia is going to help for me.
I think the last time we watched it, we did watch it together. And like we kind of discussed before I hit record, was that I didn't realize it was written and directed by Todd Phillips. Makes sense in the way The Hangover is written.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
I'm hopeful. Where can you stream this movie?
It's not available on anything like Netflix or Hulu, but it is available to rent on all of the on-demand channels for like $3. So
not bad.
It's accessible, but according to Just Watch, it's not available on any of the paid streaming platforms, or you can just own it on DVD like us. I just like doing that.
I know. So we're going to go ahead and hit the
pause
and go watch Road Trip.
Okay,
Bye. Okay, and we're back. We just finished watching Road Trip, and now we're going to go ahead and break down our movie with our categories.
like we always do.
And our first category is, well, hello there.
Did you forget?
No, I can't remember if you'd like to do the sound effect before or after.
It's after, because you say it, and then he says it back to you.
Okay, so our first category is, well, hello there.
Well, hello there.
Where we talk about any cameos of famous or recognizable actors or actresses that we've forgotten were in the movie, and I don't want to undersell it. There was a shit ton.
Yeah. I wouldn't expect any less for a comedy where they're on a road trip, so they're experiencing different people along their journey.
Yes.
There's quite a few.
Who was the first one that you noticed?
At the beginning of the movie, it opens up with Barry, Tom Green's character, who we already mentioned was in the movie. He's giving a tour of the campus at Ithaca University, which is apparently not a real university, by the way.
No.
One of the people in the tour group is Ethan Suplee, who we've talked about on the podcast before. For the life of me, I can't remember which movie. He is from Boy Meets World, Santa Clarita Diet,
Yep.
amongst other things, like the movie I can't think of.
Yeah, he was definitely in a movie we've done.
Yeah.
And I saw he's in the movie The Hunt. Yeah.
He is, yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy if you think about he's been an actor we've been familiar with for 27 years.
Yeah. It's true. I don't even know if he had a name, but he was just in the tour group. He had a couple lines.
I saw he's credited as Ed Bradford.
Okay.
Maybe he was wearing a name tag or something, because I agree with you. I don't ever remember them saying his name.
He's just in the group, and throughout the movie, they do go back to that group because Barry's the narrator, Tom Green. Mm-hmm. So he's telling the story, and it goes back and forth between them occasionally.
Yeah.
Who was your first one?
My first one, he's probably the star of the movie, but I don't think we mentioned him in the first segments, and that's Breckin Meyer.
Yes.
He plays Josh Parker. We actually just did a movie that he's very prominent in, which was Clueless.
Yeah, for our bonus-sode. Join the Ruiners Club to get it.
Definitely. I think the other big thing I remember him from is Franklin and Bash.
Yes. And he's guest starred in a bunch of movies that we like. He was in Can't Hardly Wait, remember? Mm-hmm. Literal cameo.
Yes.
Some other ones. Was he part of the boy band in Josie and the Pussycats?
Yes, he was.
Yes. Okay.
Him and Donald Faison.
Yes. Yeah. And Seth Meyers, I believe? Or am I just making that up?
I want to say the boy band is all legit famous actors.
Yeah.
Making a cameo in that movie.
Such an underrated movie.
It really, I will 100% agree.
Thank you.
I think when it came out, it somehow had a reputation that it wasn't a good movie.
Like, I think the humor of Josie and Pussycats was a little too dry.
At time, it's a dark movie.
Yes. And it's satire. And I don't think a lot of people understood that. But the soundtrack, come on.
Isn't it all basically Letters to Cleo songs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good soundtrack.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
Tangent over about Josie and the Pussycats. The next person I am aware of, or I saw, was Rachel Lancaster, speaking of Clueless, the TV show this time. I thought she was in something else I remember, but I think it's this movie, Clueless, and then she was in...
Flight of the Conchords?
Yes.
Yeah.
As Jermaine's girlfriend.
That's about all I remember her from.
Yeah. And she dumped him for an Australian.
Yeah. My next one is Paulo Costanzo.
Yeah.
He plays Ruben. He's one of the bigger parts in the movie, and he was on the sitcom Joey,
correct,
the Friends spinoff. And he also was one of the stars of Royal Pains,
yes,
which was a USA show.
Though we didn't remembered him from Joey, because I did watch that short-lived sitcom.
I thought you were going to say shitty sitcom.
It wasn't great. It was doomed from the start.
Yeah.
The thing about Friends is that you have to have all the friends.
Yeah, there was friends. There was 6 friends, and then when you only have one friend, it really loses something.
It's not like we're saying anything revolutionary here.
Yeah.
It didn't work out because you can't just have one of the friends.
No. I think it would have worked if they had made it like a Joey and Rachel or a Joey and Ross. I mean you can't do Joey and Chandler because he was married.
Chandler decided fatherhood and being married is not for me. I'm going to run away to California with Joey. That would have just made everything that happened in Friends so sad.
Oh, remember that show you liked? Well, guess what? He bailed on his kid and they got a divorce. It's a great
kids,
movie.
They had twins.
I apologize.
Anyway. Just a little Friends knowledge for you. My next one was Amy Smart, who plays Beth. And she's been in a bunch of stuff. Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds. And more recently, she's in the new CW show, Stargirl. It's like a DC.
Okay.
She's one of the main people in it.
I have not watched it.
I haven't either, but
I've heard of the show.
Yeah.
She was also
go ahead.
She was also in a movie that we've done for the podcast, Varsity Blues.
Oh yeah.
Varsity Blues.
She's also in a ABC Family / Freeform Christmas movie with Mark Paul Gosselaar.
Is it the 12 Dates of Christmas?
Yes, I love it because it's it's the repeating, the time loop. What did they say on Palm Springs? He's like, it's just your typical time loop continuum.
Yeah.
Like you said it, and she's like, what?
A Groundhog's Day movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Palm Springs is a really good movie, by the way.
Yeah.
I
check
enjoyed
it out. The old Sam Bird.
Yeah. Who was your next one?
My next one was Anthony Rapp.
Yes.
He plays Jacob. If there's a villain in the movie, it's basically him. He's Breckin Meyer's TA, who's basically trying to get him to fail the class because then he'll get kicked out of school and he can get Amy Smart's character Beth back, which is not at all true, but this is what he thinks.
He is obsessed
Yes.
with her. You didn't say where he was from. So.
The big thing I know him from, and I know you know him from that as well, is he was Mark in Rent.
Yeah, he was.
On the Broadway version, and then the
Movie,
movie, and
he was in Dazed and Confused, which is an episode we did.
yeah, very true. Bringing
He was
it back
part
to
of the nerdier group.
bringing it back to the archive.
Yeah. I remember watching Rent for the first time because obviously didn't live anywhere near New York and never went to a Broadway play. But so my first viewing of Rent was the movie and going, the creep from Road Trips? And then really liking his character.
You're like, oh, damn it. I can imagine if I had seen Rent when it came out, that's what I would have took away from it. I would have been like, the creep from Road Trip. But by the time you had showed me Rent, I was aware of a couple things he was in, and I knew he was a Broadway actor, and I had more associated him with those things rather than him being a creep douche.
Yeah. My next one was Sean William Scott, who we kind of mentioned already, but did we mention him?
I think we just briefly mentioned.
Okay. He plays a character named E.L. I don't know why. They never explain it.
Nope.
But obviously he's from American Pie, Role Models. He was in the Lethal Weapon TV show.
The Rundown with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Okay. The Monk.
Evolution.
Bulletproof Monk? Is that what it's called? I'm just naming.
We're just giving away his whole IMDb.
Role Models is definitely one of my favorite Paul Rudd movies, so.
I have enjoyed him since American Pie and also this movie, and I don't think he acts nearly enough. Or maybe they just don't give him enough roles. I always associated him as being hilarious, and I don't know that he ever got on my nerves. Like some actors, at some point they'll do a role where I'm like, that wasn't very good. Like even Will Ferrell, who I love, he's done movies that I didn't particularly care for, and I never felt like Sean William Scott was that.
And we've talked about this before. Like everybody kind of goes through an evolution of you can't always be on top as an actor, as like a hit star. You're gonna eventually pick a crappy movie.
For sure.
I think he went through a string of where he did a lot of like indie movies.
He did The Goon.
Yeah.
The hockey movie.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed him.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier. Who was your next one?
My next one was DJ Qualls. He plays Kyle, who Josh and Ruben borrow his car to drive to Austin. And he's kind of a nerdy guy, and they kind of help him grow. I would say he actually has quite a bit of growth as a person on this little road trip. I remember he was in that movie, The New Guy.
Yes.
With Eliza Dushku. And then also
Zooey Deschanel.
Oh, I do not even remember that she was in that.
She was in his band. She had blonde hair.
Oh, okay. But also more recently, he was in like The Man in the High Castle, and he's been in a lot of shows like where he's in 30 episodes of them.
I remember him being on Supernatural.
Oh, nice.
As like a reoccurring character. You don't remember this?
I do not.
Oh.
I remember him popping up on an episode of Big Bang Theory as well.
He was a thing for a minute.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he got the new guy. Because I'm pretty sure he was kind of a breakout in this movie.
Definitely.
My next one was Renee Bell, who plays Carla, which is Tiffany's roommate, who is Rachel Lancaster's character, is Tiffany. And Renee Bell is from Gilmore Girls. She plays Lulu, which is Kirk's girlfriend. And I'm a big Gilmore Girls fan, so I had to note that. And apparently she was in Bring It On, and now, yes, I remember her in Bring It On.
Doesn't she cry a lot?
I think so. We need to watch that movie.
Yeah.
Who is your next one?
My next one was Cleo King.
Yes.
She's just a passenger on the bus with
Beth.
But right away I recognized her from another Todd Phillips movie. She played a cop with Rob Riggle, who arrests the guys. And then also you mentioned she also played a police officer on New Girl. And she's
a police officer in Pineapple Express.
Yeah, she's been in a ton of things.
Apparently she has major cop face.
But I just always can hear her saying, her and Rob Riggle just riffing in The Hangover, and like, every goddamn time. That was my Rob Riggle.
That was good.
Thank you.
There was an Andy Dick cameo. He plays a motel clerk. Not much to say about it. He was just a creep. But he also kind of made Ruben feel like shit because Ruben asked him if he
Could score some weed.
if he could score some weed. And he just kept going, I can get you an 11-year-old prostitute, and I can get you, like, he just kept going off about a bunch of different crimes. And then he's like, or I can just give you a fresh towel.
It was a good cameo.
I never minded him, and I really liked his cameo in the Netflix show Love, because he plays himself.
And he was decent in that, too.
Yeah. Who was your next one?
My next one was Earl Edwards, who plays Kyle's dad. He always looked familiar to me, but then I look up his IMDb and nothing really jumped out at me, but he was in Naked Gun 33 1/3, and he was also on True Detective.
Okay.
So
he does look familiar, but I think it's because of this movie. It's one of those instances.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's probably exactly what it is.
My next one was John Ross Bowie. Plays the waiter. He's starred in The Heat. Well, not starred, but he had a small role. Big Bang Theory.
Barry Kripke.
Yeah. He's in, I don't know if it got picked up again, but that show with Minnie Driver. Speechless. I think it's on ABC.
Okay. And he's on a bunch of episodes of
Reno 911.
Reno 911.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was your next one?
My next one was Horatio Sands.
Yes.
And he plays another waiter at a diner. Big thing I know Horatio Sands was, he was on SNL for multiple years, and he's been on a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
That for the life of me I can't think of.
And in this film, it's the French toast scene, and that's all we have to say right now.
Yeah.
Because if you've seen this movie at least once, you remember the French toast scene.
You better.
I can't say French. French. My next one was Mary Lynn Rashkub. And she plays Brenda, who works at the School for the Blind. Sean William Scott's character ends up stealing a bus so they can get to Austin. But she's been in a whole mess of things. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, 24, Little Miss Sunshine.
The Brooklyn Nine-Nine was the one that stood out. But then also when I looked her up, I saw she was like a regular on 24.
Yeah. Who was your next one? We have quite a few still.
Yes. My next one was Matt Walsh.
Yes.
He played like a photographer for, I don't know if he was for the press or for the police department.
I think in the thing, he's listed as crime scene investigator.
Okay. He was Mike on Veep, and he was the nurse in The Hangover.
He was a doctor.
I apologize. And he's been on Reno 911, and he's just a character actor that's probably been in everything you've ever seen.
I was like, I think he's been in every comedy known to man in the last 20 years.
Joshua on Community.
Yes.
The trampoline episode, who turns out he was a racist.
I just like Troy's like,
oh my God,
he's racist. And then they like have flashbacks. They're like, oh,
he had a swastika tattoo on his chest.
Like it's a windmill.
Like, oh my God.
His voice goes so high. Oh my God. My next one was Omar J. Dorsey. He plays Lawrence. He was one of the frat brothers in the all-black fraternity that they stop and try to say they're part of the fraternity, and obviously the guys know they're not, but they're nice, and they feed them, they let them party. He was in an episode of Chuck. I think that's where I recognized him from, but he's also from The Blind Side, and he's in When They See Us, which is the mini-series on Netflix about the Central Park 5.
Oh, okay.
Who is your next one?
My next one was the director, Todd Phillips. He has a little cameo as a creepy toe licker on the bus.
Yes.
And also the writer of the movie. And Todd Phillips made Joker.
And The Hangover and Old School, correct? So
super famous. And his next film that he is making is a biopic on one of my favorite childhood wrestlers, Hulk Hogan, with Thor.
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth. My next one was Ellen Abertini Dow.
Oh, yeah.
Who plays Barry's grandmother. And she's playing Minnie of a grandmother, The Wedding Singer, Wedding Crashers. She was a grandmother in that.
Sister Act.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw she passed away about 5 years ago, but she even did an episode of New Girl in 2013.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, she lived to be like 103 3, I think.
Very recognizable face. And I think it's mostly because of The Wedding Singer.
Yes, for sure.
Who is your next one?
My next one was just a voice, and I was more surprised at who did the voice. There's a dog who gets, they're getting high and the dog's talking to them.
It's Barry's grandparents.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
The voice of the dog is by Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know that I could recognize it until like I saw it in the credits.
Yeah, I don't know.
It didn't sound like him, but I know it was him.
I had one last one. It was just the actor that played Barry's grandpa. His name was Edmund Leindeck, and he was in Big Daddy and Enchanted and a couple other movies. Mm-hmm. He also passed away the same year that Ellen Albertini Dow passed away, so that's kind of depressing.
Yeah, very much so.
They're definitely older.
Mm-hmm.
So. Oh, and the little bit of trivia that I had was, according to IMDb, Joshua was supposed to be played by Crispin Glover, which, thinking about how much older Crispin Glover is probably to like Amy Smart and Breckin Meyer, that would add another level of creepiness.
Yeah.
Like Jacob, sorry.
Yes.
Anthony Rapp's character is already creepy,
mm-hmm.
but that would have just added, because also Crispin Glover's kind of he's a weirdo.
Yeah.
You know?
Very much so. There was a couple times where you'd look at, in the background, there would be the students walking by, and you're like, they look 40.
We haven't talked about that in a while, because I felt like we haven't done like a teen or a college comedy in a while. But yeah, that's always, it's like something they probably, when they're doing it, they're like, nobody's going to notice.
Because they're just a background actor.
Yeah.
It was last night, fun fact, we watched Pleasantville.
Yes. And
there was a couple background characters, like in Reese Witherspoon's classroom. Not to be mean, but they're losing their hair. That's how old they are. You're like, that guy's 40. Come on, he's not 16.
I'm thinking of like a comedy that's come out like recently that is centered on teenagers that we've seen, like a movie or a show. Mm-hmm. And I can't imagine, because I feel like they do a way better job now to cast kids that are younger. I say that, and we watched, what was that show on Netflix that was by Mindy Kaling? Never Have I Ever?
Yeah, no? Never Have I Ever.
And the main character that she's in love with, the main character, is the guy's 28, but
yeah,
still, I think for the most part they do try to get people that are at least in their early 20s.
Well, and when you said a more recent movie, I was thinking of Spider-Man Far From Home. And I feel like they do a decent job at casting people that look to be in high school.
Right.
Like, Ned doesn't look 30.
That's true.
Yeah. Tom Holland's quite yoked, but he doesn't look 40.
Yoked.
He's in great shape.
He is. The next category is called, kids would call it a throwback, we call it the prime of our teens, where we talk about fashion, offensive jokes, and dated references. And surprisingly, I did not have that many offensive jokes.
Yeah.
Very, very surprised.
I was very surprised as well.
What did you think about the fashion?
Fashion, I felt, was like college kid fashion.
Right.
The guys are wearing T-shirts and button-downs over their T-shirt. The only thing that I really noted was EL's wearing these ugly brown and orange Adidas pants. And then I said, who wears brown and orange? Definitely not a Cleveland Brown fan.
I did note that his hair was pretty bad. It was like that highlighted, choppy, and just going everywhere. Like, it probably takes him like an hour to style it, but it looks like he just woke up.
It's my bed head.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, the clothing, I mean, the main characters are wearing the same clothes throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
So they were just wearing T-shirts.
Yeah, Kyle's wearing like an Atari T-shirt.
Yeah.
Although I will say, when they find him to borrow the car, he's wearing this polo sweater. Mm-hmm. And it's really big on him. Also, DJ Qualls is very thin.
Yeah, he's painfully thin.
Yeah.
What about offensive jokes or dated references?
The whole idea at the beginning that EL is having an auction and he's auctioning off women doesn't particularly age well.
Right.
He does state that by paying for their services, it does not mean that you get to have sex with them. So I'm like,
I feel like you shouldn't have to state that.
You shouldn't, but
they all were willing participants, so
yeah,
that is okay, I guess. I didn't really have any offensive... I mean, there were some, but I felt like they weren't so notable that I had to write them down.
The only other thing that I had was when they go to the all-black fraternity, the fraternity throws a party.
Right.
And Kyle meets this lady named Rhonda, and they hook up. But they shoot a scene where they're outside talking and getting to know each other. And Rhonda's plus size, but she's not 700 pounds.
Right.
And they shoot a scene where they're sitting on a
bench
swing.
Or like a swing, yeah.
And of course, they have to emphasize that she's bigger than him, so they make the swing incredibly lopsided, which I just thought was a cheap laugh.
It's not funny. It's like you could read it two ways. You could read it as she's bigger, so she's weighing down the swing. Mm-hmm. But you could also look at it as like he's very, very, very thin.
Which is true.
If like EL was sitting on the swing, would it be as tipped over? But it was a cheap joke, and it's for a cheap laugh, and it's definitely like fat phobic to me. Mm-hmm. Something that would not really fly in today's society. But
and I did see on Todd Phillips' Wikipedia, he said he doesn't feel like he can make comedies nowadays because he feels like they're dissected. And I'm going, well, you go for a cheap laugh like that.
I remember when he said that, it was when like the Joker came out, mm-hmm. and I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast or not, but I do remember like discussing and how like there's other ways you can have comedy. I mean, like there's still stuff that's funny. Yeah. There's still people that produce funnier things in today's like politically correct world. To me, like making fun of somebody's appearance and making fun of somebody for something that might be out of their control is not great.
No.
It's definitely shitty, and I cringed throughout that whole scene because I thought it was going to get worse.
Yeah.
Especially with the sex scene, and then surprisingly, it didn't.
No, I agree. I had it in my head that it was everything centered around these scenes with these two characters was going to be over the top and terrible, and you're right, it wasn't.
Yeah. It could have been way worse, which is not something you want to say about a movie, but...
Yeah.
In the terms that we're reviewing it, it has to be said, I guess.
Yes, for sure.
There's just some references, like at one point, EL tells Josh he's jumping around like Richard fucking Simmons because he just had sex with Beth, and he's super excited about it until he finds out that his girlfriend wasn't cheating or breaking up with him. Did you have anything else in this category?
I did not.
Okay. Again, surprising.
Yeah. I was very surprised.
Do you want to move on?
Yes. We're going to go ahead and get on the payphone to call our girlfriend to see how she's doing and talk about some technology.
Yeah.
What technology did you notice?
At the beginning of the movie, after Tom Green kind of opens it up for the story, Josh is recording himself with a Sony Digicam. Mm-hmm. To send to his girlfriend. He's sending VHS tapes to his girlfriend.
But I will say, when I was 15 and 16 years old, I totally wanted that camcorder.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was a sweet camera.
Right? Top of the line.
And it was sleek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, the whole premise of the movie, it centers around him sending this tape to his girlfriend, but it gets swapped with the tape that he records with Beth, mm-hmm. which is a sex tape.
Yes.
And... the premise of the movie is him trying to go save his ass.
I was going to say, a lot of the other technology is kind of in the background, but that is prominent.
Right.
There was a couple things in the background, like he has a box TV, as we all did in 2000, and he has his VCR attached to it, because like you said, he's recording tapes to send to her. What other pieces did you notice?
Just, obviously there's telephones, there's answering machines, they're really bulky because he's trying to get a hold of his girlfriend, and the whole reason he has sex with Beth is because he can't get a hold of her for like a day or two. Mm-hmm. Her roommate is understandably annoyed because he keeps calling.
Yes.
Because he also has a bad dream that she's just having sex with a guy.
Like in the quad.
In the quad. Which I get. Long distance relationships have to be hard. And if you're like 18, 19, that's probably what you're thinking about is like, are they going to hook up with somebody?
It was just weird in the sense they emphasized the fact that they've known each other since they were 3.
Right.
And are best friends. So... out of you would think they would have a lot of trust built in their relationship, but apparently not.
You would think.
Yeah.
And apparently he didn't think that highly of the relationship because it took him like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
To be like, I guess I'll hook up with Beth because she's interested.
Yeah. She's here.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that in a second because when we get into the plot more.
I was just going to quickly mention there was some lime green appliances. Carla's phone was a lime green cordless phone. There's a lime green iMac. And then the last thing I noticed was a Nintendo 64 on the ground. Yeah.
I didn't notice that at all.
Yeah. But that's it.
Okay. Well, we'll move on. The next category is called Is It Even Good? Where we talk about the plot holes, and we talk about our funniest and cringiest moments.
Yeah.
And there was stuff that happens. Obviously, it's a movie where people have to go on a road trip.
Yep.
Shit happens. Hilarity ensues.
Right away, they kind of address it too, is EL even says to Breckenmeyer, why don't you just fly down there?
Right.
And he's like, do you have money for a plane ticket? But then I started thinking, but you guys are buying camping equipment, gasoline, motel rooms, food.
But they were using Kyle's credit card the whole time.
Then why don't you just ask him to buy you a plane ticket?
I mean, they're idiots. I don't know what to tell you. That would have been way too quick. And it wouldn't have been a movie, Ryan.
That's true.
My whole thing about the plot was that it wasn't great. No, it was fine. It was just the fact that he so quickly decided to sleep with Beth, and then turns out his girlfriend wasn't ghosting him.
Nope.
Before ghosting was a thing. She was dealing with a death in the family. I think her grandpa died.
Yeah.
And it's 2000, so they don't appear to have cell phones.
No, I did not see one cell phone.
Yeah, so she tried to contact him when he wasn't in his room, so that whole thing happened. Yeah. But so then he embarks on this journey to get the tape back because his roommate accidentally sends the wrong tape. And yeah.
I mean, nowadays, the video you would send, like, probably through your phone?
It would be instant.
Instant. There's no, I'm going to get in a car and drive.
But in a movie, they would probably
hours.
figure out a way, like, it's on the cloud and we can try to delete it before they open it in an email. And I don't know.
That's true.
2000 problems.
The other thing that it didn't make sense to me was Kyle's is kind of how they're paying for everything, but his credit card gets blown up in the car?
No.
No?
Because they use it at the hotel after the car gets blown up. And then the motel clerk, Andy Dick, says your card is maxed out.
Okay.
Like it got declined.
Well, the only thing that I didn't get was how did they know they were at the University of Austin, the parents, to like show up there?
Somebody told them.
Was it Andy Dick that tells them it? Okay. Not a plot hole, folks.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just you not paying attention.
No, I was probably logging notes at the time.
My biggest plot hole, again, is how easily Josh goes from, I would never cheat on my girlfriend, to, I guess I'll sleep with Beth.
Yeah.
Because her roommate said she didn't come home the night before.
And because you have it in your head
that
she's cheating on you.
She's waiting to cheat on you.
Yeah.
And then just Beth's kind of story. I like her character, but I think her whole story of going to travel to Boston because Barry tells her they are going to Boston, just express her feelings, or to tell, well, she ends up telling a fake,
yes,
whatchamacallit?
Fake Tiffany.
Tiffany, who is another actress we didn't name in the cameo, but she was in Legally Blonde. She was one of...
And White Chicks.
And White Chicks, yeah. She was one of Elle Wood's best friends. But she told her that her boyfriend was cheating on her.
And then she goes ballistic.
Which is actually my funniest moment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take that from you.
I just started talking about it because I don't know where I'm going with this, which we can transition because I didn't really have any other plot holes.
Me neither.
Yeah, she goes to Boston. She tracks down a Tiffany Henderson because that name is pretty basic. And she tells her that she cheated with her boyfriend. And the girl just starts breaking the guy's car. And she walks up and she's just like, oh, what's going on? And this girl's like, oh, her boyfriend cheated on her. Her boyfriend's right there. And she's like, that's your boyfriend? Then she just like slowly backs away like, oh shit. It's hilarious.
Because also, when she's hitting the car, she immediately turns and just clubs him with a baseball bat.
And Beth's like, oh, shit. What was yours?
My funniest moment is when they're on their road trip and Ruben tells him about this shortcut that results in taking gravel roads that's going to save you 5 hours.
Right.
And they come to a part where the bridge is broken because they're in the middle of nowhere. And EL's like, Bob Hope could jump this with his golf cart. And he spits across and the bridge promptly breaks.
Yeah.
So then, in a moment of realism, they jump this little gap. I mean, it's probably maybe 10 feet. It's not that far. But when they land, it breaks the axles on the car. Like, the front end's destroyed. It wasn't Nicolas Cage and Gone in 60 Seconds jumping, Eva Knievel style, landing perfectly fine.
Did you say Eva?
Yeah, Eva. Yeah. It's Evel Knievel's female sister. Eva Knievel.
Female sister.
Yeah, female sister.
It's like earlier when I said female girlfriend. Because it said female friend, and I'm like, it's his girlfriend, but it's also his lifelong friend, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But I agree with you. It was girlfriend, not friend. So yeah, that was my favorite part when
that was pretty good. I do think it was realistic until it exploded, but I always thought that moment was pretty funny. What was your cringiest line or moment?
You mentioned the French toast, so I will go with when Barry is trying to feed the snake and he has a mouse, and he puts the mouse in his mouth, and he was trying to get Beth to come back the next day when he was going to feed it. She's like, you should come back. It's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
And I remember that those two scenes stuck with me. Like, I remembered before they even happened. I'm like, oh, he's going to put the damn mouse in his mouth.
I didn't remember that he put it in his mouth, but I do remember him humming the song. Like, when Beth walks in and he's like, like a very intense song.
Yeah.
And I remember him singing his song when all the guys are still in the room after the party.
The tiny salmon goes.
Yeah.
I just remember Sean William Scott when he does the one, and he goes, caw, and they cut to him and he just lip syncs the caws.
He's heard this song before.
Yes.
Mine was the French toast scene. Honestly, the reason I never send food back at a restaurant, because not that I think it's going to happen every single time, but the minute I saw this movie, I was like, yeah, I will never send food back at all. The best part, too, is like DJ Qualls' character, Kyle, he's so nice about it.
Yeah, he
wasn't
like,
a dick.
You put some powdered sugar on it. I ordered it without that. And he's like, oh, let me get that taken care of. And he's like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So nice.
Which shows you some, hospitality service might not, I don't know, restaurant service?
Yeah.
Person, they don't fucking care if you ask them nicely or poorly. If it inconveniences them, they might spit in your food.
Exactly. And I agree with you. This definitely plays into my never asking to see a manager and never sending my food back.
Yes. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about? Because I did have one thing I wanted to talk about.
And this is just us noticing things. They stop at Target, and the Target does not look dated at all.
No.
Like you even said, you're like, Target looks the same.
Yeah.
20 years ago.
And it looks nice.
Yeah.
Looks like Target.
Looks like Target.
I did feel like two things about Sean William Scott's character, EL.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I felt like at the beginning he was basically just playing Stifler.
Yes.
But he's a little less annoying.
Yeah. But he does like talk to his crotch, and he was very Stiflery.
But then there was times where he was telling like Kyle to be more assertive and stick up for himself.
That's what goes along with the growth. Yeah. Kyle asks him when they're driving, can you pull over? I need to use the bathroom. And he's like, well, I don't need to go, so we're not going to. And he's like, oh, okay. And he's like, dude, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I'm like, something Stifler would never say.
Exactly.
But the other thing is, and I've talked about it in podcasts before where we've done similar teen comedies or teen sex comedies, where there's always a scene where it's definitely like a frat boy's dream come to life. Mm-hmm. And it's the scene where he gets the nurse to what he thinks is going to be, pleasuring him or sex.
Yeah.
And she does it very medically. Mm-hmm. And which I think it like turns it on its head a little bit.
Yeah.
I almost forgot about it. And I was just like, here we go. A nurse would never really do this. Like in the sense that she would go in the room and be like, yeah, I'll have sex with you so you can put your sperm in a cup.
Yeah.
No.
Nope.
I guess in a way she's just like, yeah, let's do that. And then she's like, I'm going to stick my fingers up your ass. And shocker, he liked it.
There you go.
And the other thing in the beginning of the story, after Beth has sex with Josh and she's in the bathroom with her friends and there's just women running around topless.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, ugh, this shit. It always annoys me in movies that like girls don't wear towels like guys do in locker rooms. They wear them around their body, their whole body, over their breasts.
Yeah.
But it's funny because they cut to the tour group and the two younger girls in the tour group are like, girls don't just walk around naked. And he's like, yes, they do. And she's like, no, they don't do that. So I'm like, at least they made that joke.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised.
Very true.
But they still went back to showing women's boobs for no reason.
Yeah. But like you said, at least they made the joke.
Yeah.
Whereas every other teen sex comedy, they don't make that joke. This is how life is.
Or even in Lethal Weapon, as in the opening one where the girl is just, walking around her apartment with her chest out and just doing blow, falling out of windows.
We did that last weekend, Ashley. Why are you going to sit here and tell people
true.
That's not how life is?
We did blow.
Yep, did blow, and I walked around with my chest out.
Oh, we did not do that.
No, that is not us.
I think that's all I really had. Did you have anything else?
Mm-mm.
You didn't want to talk about anything else?
I did not.
Okay, Ryan. Ryan, okay.
As always, it is award season here on Ruining Our Childhood, and we give out 2 awards every week, the first of which is a valedictorian to the Nicolas Cage Online School of Bad Acting. Who did you give your award to?
I didn't want to do this, but I did. Because I think out of all the characters, there was nothing to Josh, Breckenmeyer's character.
Oh, wow.
There was nothing to him.
No.
He's supposed to be like a straight man, right? His friends are all kind of crazy, but he's the normal straight guy in the comedy. But he's also, in a way, really forgettable. And the fact that the movie's centered around him is his only growth or depth.
Yeah.
And his character is not really likable.
No.
For the reasons I already explained. Nothing really extraordinary happens to him on the road trip. He's just kind of there. Just all the other characters are way more developed than him, if you think about it. And they go through all these journeys. When he gets to the college, it turns out Barry had taped over the sex part of the tape, so he was in the clear, basically. But he ends up breaking up with his girlfriend. But, like, they don't mention that if he says, like, hey, I cheated on you.
Yeah.
So he gets away with cheating on his girlfriend.
Yep.
Who is also his best friend, by the way, from childhood.
Can you say that one more time for me?
From childhood.
Yeah.
And then he makes it back to school. He's almost late for exam, but luckily Beth fucking...
calls in a bomb threat.
Yeah. So it's like things happen to him, and he doesn't do anything. He's not the hero. He's just there, and people around him are helping him, but he's not really helping anybody else, I think.
No.
It's hard for me to say that because if you've heard the Clueless mini episode, Breckenmeyer is one of my favorite parts in Clueless, and I like him as an actor. I just think he's kind of blah on this.
Agreed. I did not give him my award.
Okay. Who'd you give yours to?
I gave it to Thomas Green.
Okay.
I thought he starts off strong, and he's funny in that opening scene where he like points to a building and tries to say it's from the 1600s, and a girl like corrects him and's like, it says 1951 on the building. And he's like, yeah, that's the address, you wise ass. I feel like at that point, everything's downhill for him.
Like they dumb him down.
Yeah. Ruben corrects him and tells him that we're going to Austin in Texas, and he still manages to tell Beth the wrong city.
He says Austin, Massachusetts.
And she's like, Boston? He was like, yeah, Boston. The gross out humor with the mouse, I think, is disgusting. And then even the very last scene of the movie, the credits have started to roll, and he starts making out with the mom that was on the tour.
Yeah.
But he's like on the ground on top of her, kissing her, and he's acting like he's having a seizure and starts shaking.
Like humping her.
Yeah, but
in a weird way.
But he's
in
like
a Tom Green way.
Yeah. He's exhausting. I was a Tom Green fan. I watched the show.
I did too. He's definitely like one of those things where we can look back in time and be like, why was he so popular?
Yeah. Why
Like,
was I a fan?
I did think that, like, his song was funny, and I did like the beginning of his tour guide. I don't think he was bad, but I agree he is a little bit exhausting
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
times.
He was.
Do you want to move on to the next award?
Yes, we shall.
The Thomas J. Hanks Award for Exceptional Acting. Who did you give your award to?
I gave mine to Sean William Scott.
Okay.
He was the funniest part of the movie. Overall, I love his dry sarcasm.
Yeah.
I mentioned him talking to Josh's crotch. He just has good zingers too. Josh is like, yeah, I'm invested in my relationship. And he's like, who the fuck are you, Charles Schwab?
Yeah.
But then he just has some silly stuff. Like I mentioned when the car blows up, the airbags deploy and the kid's crying. Kyle's upset because,
Right.
my dad's going to kill me. And he's just standing there looking at his sunglasses because they got broken.
Right.
So just throughout the movie, any chuckles that I had for the most part were centered around him.
I did forget to mention the part, and it just popped in my head and it had nothing to do with Sean William Scott. But when his Kyle's parents are kind of following the trail of, because they think he's being murdered and kidnapped and somebody stole his car and his credit card, but they're at the scene where the car is. And Matt Walsh's character is like, it looks like somebody got raped and murdered here. And they're like, how can you say that? He's like, I just get a feeling. Like the way he said it, so just matter of fact, I thought was hilarious.
And there's another investigator standing there. He's like, well, we haven't found a drip of semen yet.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we won't. Who did you give your award to?
I gave mine to Paulo Constanzo,
Okay.
Ruben, because I think he's one of the more likable characters, like EL or even Kyle.
Yeah.
And, he's chill, he just smokes pot, and he has some growth in the sense that he doesn't really have that much growth, but I just enjoyed everything he did. And he wasn't super annoying, but he says a line in the beginning when it's after the party, after Josh and Beth hook up, and they're kind of asking him, like, did you hook up with Beth? And he's like, yeah, we hooked up. He's like, it isn't cool to kiss a girl and then lie and say you had sex with her, Josh. But just the way he said it, he's kind of sarcastic, and I think he was a better straight man than Josh was.
Agreed.
I think he had a better personality. It's almost like there was too many people in this movie. And I'll put Anthony Rapp in that too. Like Jacob. To me, he didn't even serve really a purpose.
Other than he has a crush on a girl.
Yeah. And then it does correlate with him being Josh's TA. So that kind of puts that in a bad situation. But I think like they don't really do anything with him. But I did like Ruben as a character, and I just liked at the end when they were trying to convince the mailroom guy to give them the tape, and he's just like, go have a nice lemon pie or something. I don't know why. Just the way he said it.
Take a walk.
Yeah.
Have an Eskimo pie.
And then he is High Times Man of the Year.
He is.
So
I feel like you bring up a good point. There's too many characters, whereas like maybe combined him and Josh and you had a good character.
yeah. But yeah, no, I agree.
But yeah,
also,
he's
I
good.
forgot to mention Jacob's like end story was really dark. He
Real
starts a
dark.
cult and then
He's the only one that drank the Kool-Aid. Yeesh.
that's pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. I did like Beth too, Amy Smart, because of the thing that happened in Boston. But I didn't like the last line she says to Josh, and she's like, "I did good, right?" Like she's looking for his approval because she called a bomb threat so he wouldn't miss his test.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you don't need this. Was the sex that good? Like, you don't care that he had a girlfriend and that he traveled across country to make sure he didn't get in trouble with his girlfriend. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Have some respect for yourself, Beth, is all I have to say. Do you want to move on to the answering the question?
Yes.
Does this movie hold up? And what do you think?
I think it did, in the sense I didn't feel like there was a lot of cringy or offensiveness to it. I still found the movie funny. I will say like you bring up a real good point. I liked Breckenmeyer when I first saw this movie and enjoyed him. And then when you rewatch it, you're like, what's the point of him?
Right.
But I felt Kyle was very funny. Sean William Scott's very funny. I felt there was enough there that it held up for me.
Okay.
What about you?
I actually agree.
Okay.
I know I said I didn't think it was going to hold up, but I think I was dwelling on some parts that I made up in my head, kind of.
Same.
And things weren't that bad. And I still found myself laughing at things. It's not, like, revolutionary or anything, but it's a funny movie, and I could see myself watching it again down the line.
Yeah.
Down the road, down the line. Who knows? If we're still alive in, like, 10 years. But, yeah, I mean, it was enjoyable. There was some things that do not fly in 2020. Overall, it wasn't a bad movie.
No, I thought there was going to be way more offensive stuff.
Yeah.
Because I just think of a comedy from 20 years ago. They're going to take a lot of liberties and take cheap jokes and stuff. And there was a couple, but there wasn't a ton.
Right. I cringe anytime I think of a movie that's centered around college guys from 20 plus years ago, because I just assume they're going to be ripping every single type of person to shreds that don't look like them.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it in several movies we've done for the podcast, so pleasantly surprised on this one.
Yeah, very much so.
So thanks for listening, guys. As always, why don't you leave a review for us on Apple Podcast app? I always want to say iTunes. It's not iTunes anymore.
And if you like the podcast, go ahead and tell a friend. Maybe head over to our website, buy a sticker, buy a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Put that sticker on your car. Let people know what you listen to.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to plaster stickers all over Phoenix.
Yeah,
Just
we
kidding.
are.
We only bought a couple. I'm going to put one on my laptop, though.
For sure. Same. What movies are we doing on next week's poll?
That's a good question, Ryan. Mm-hmm. A question I don't have an answer for yet. Also, join the Ruiners Club. Hello.
Get them 3 bonuses. 4th one coming soon.
Why is it not letting me go back? Okay. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. So next week, we're heading back to Apocalypse Town. I don't know.
Apocalypse Town.
And we're doing 2 apocalyptic type action movies. The first one is 2012.
Made in 2009.
Yeah. It's already a classic. And the other one is I Am Legend.
Yes.
Which is my pick. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll take the John Cusack movie.
You thought I was going to take the John Cusack movie.
No, I knew you were going to take I Am Legend because I know you like that movie.
Yeah, I love that movie. Yeah. But we haven't seen it in a while.
No, I have not.
Those are the 2 movies that we're going to have next week to celebrate the beautiful year we are in 2020. Mm-hmm. Sarcasm.
Get over to Facebook and Twitter on Wednesday to vote, and then also it'll be up on Friday on the Instagram.
Yes. It seems like we're getting a lot of votes on Twitter, so I really appreciate people taking the time to go vote on Twitter. And yeah, hopefully I win this week.
Oh, 2012, guys, come on.
I Am Legend.
Cusack?
Basically, speed zombie vampires.
Cusack?
Anyway. Okay. Well, thanks for listening, guys, again for the 20th time. As always, we'll talk to you, hear you. You'll listen to us later. I don't know.
Okay, bye.
Bye.